I think we have this perception once people are strong, they can handle anything. But everybody has a moment of weakness. I've had a lot of former students meet me years later and tell me stories about things that I did or said, and of course I can't remember them. The bottom line is they remembered something that caused the light bulb to go off. What I am seeing in Barbados is I am seeing a lot of young people bringing some skills to the table that make me smile. I want to see more positive news about the youth of Barbados. The positive story now is hidden on the inside or the back page.
Yeah.
And I want to see a change in that. I figure that our young people need more encouragement. I think a lot of them have talent that just needs to be nurtured. And I find when you let them know you believe in them, they respond positively. Your dreams are your dreams. Do not let anybody feel that they can take away your dreams. A dream is not like a phone that you can take it away. A dream is in your head. It's your dream. When you wake up in the morning, you have two choices. You can either embrace negativity and be churlish and bitter and angry, or you can embrace positivity and smile. It doesn't take anything off of anybody to be kind. It doesn't cost anything to be kind. I think we need to be a lot more kinder to each other than we actually are. All right, good afternoon. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Michael Small. I'm here to have a discussion with Krisnan Hurdle, focusing on youth. Well, who knows, with Krisnan and myself, anything is possible.
That's right.
So Krisnan, tell me something. You are a young man in a field that is a bit new to Barbadians. What has the response been thus far?
It's been interesting. I've done a number of different things. So most people know me as a hypnotherapist. I also do life coaching, and most recently I got into psychotherapy. And of course, since COVID, therapy and mental health has been a subject of much discussion, and people have been reaching out. I've even gotten some requests from persons who would have went to school with me. I work with persons who went to school with me.
Yeah.
And that's always an honor, because sometimes when you go to school, people and they think they know you, they are reluctant to reach out to you for a personal issue. But it's been really encouraging and heartening that I've had some of my former schoolmates in my year and other years who have reached out.
That is very interesting, because as you said, you know, as a teacher, I can tell you that sometimes I run into students and the first thing is that they don't have to call me Sir, Michael, and my name is Michael. But what I find when they say Sir or Mr. Small, that's a mark of respect, and I leave that there. But you know, you have gone to school with some of these people, played cricket with some of them, played against them, and they are now seeing a different profession. You are no longer Krisnan, the student, the schoolmate. You are a professional. You mentioned some things earlier that you're doing that we'll go back to those, but so when you meet, how did it really come about with you getting to work with some of your former schoolmates? How did that initially happen?
Well, I've been posting my content on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and some of them have been seeing it, some of them have been following me over the years on my personal page, then I transitioned into my business page. And some of the things that I do address, anxiety, stress, etc., they are things that everybody might have challenges from time to time. So when I post my content, sometimes I post with clients' approval, testimonials. Okay. And I guess with the increase in good reviews, some persons have been saying, you know, I'm a little comfortable with Krisnan. We're not that close, but I'm comfortable enough with Krisnan, or at least I think he's doing good work, and I like to support one of my former colleagues. So they reach out, and if it is something that fits within my scope of practice, then I tend to work with them.
Well, I remember an activity that occurred last October. It was Teachers Professional Day.
Yes.
I had heard that you were coming, so, you know, having spoken to you, I came up there with an open mind, but it was way beyond what I expected.
Nice.
And I remember you saying it was good to be back there and recognize people that had taught you while you were a student. And for me, that was something I was happy to be there. I didn't want you to call me out or anything, so I was saying, I hope he doesn't call me. But I was glad that you were there, and it's always good to give back. Now, my thing is, as a person, I've worked with you for all of my life. So I have a special attachment to young people. I am a little concerned that most of the news about young people seems to be negative when there are a lot of young people out there doing a lot of positive things. I don't want to call any names because it's not free promo for people. But let's look at you. Let's look at you. You said can you go back over some of the things you say you do?
Hypnotherapy.
All right, stop there.
Yes.
What exactly is hypnotherapy?
So hypnotherapy is therapy utilizing hypnosis. Hypnosis is a process, is a technique, and it involves a natural state of mind where the person is fully immersed in a thought or experience. So contrary to what is depicted in certain movies and pictures, the individual doesn't lose consciousness and they're not doing things against their will.
Okay.
And so, like, it's akin to daydreaming, it's akin to imagination. And when you're fully immersed in a thought or experience, you're basically in the state, a natural state of hypnosis. It happens when we're watching movies. In the movie, everything is dark, we just focus on it. And we're responding emotionally as though we were in the experience. When we're reading books, we're not seeing the pictures, but we're responding as though we're in the scenes. And as I said, like when we're imagining things, people say you're 1,000 miles away, well, in your imagination. So you're fully immersed in a thought or the experience, but you don't go unconscious and you are responding voluntarily.
Whoa, very interesting.
And with it, you can, I do a lot of work with trauma. I do a lot of work with anxiety, panic attacks, and phobias, to be specific. And I also work with mothers for reducing pain in childbirth.
Reducing pain in childbirth?
Yes.
Whoa, let's go there. Let's go there.
So with it, I've been able to, there's a protocol that I've been using that I've been able to get mothers to, first of all, relax. So relaxation is a very important part. And they're conditioned in the sessions before birth. They don't start doing it on the day. We do a number of sessions beforehand, and they condition their mind and body. So they're looking at turning down the sensations, and some mothers are even able to turn off the sensations of discomfort. So we use it, for example, it's very, very popular worldwide for dental procedures. And in the same way, when you have Novocaine, you can feel the dentist working, but you can't feel the discomfort, you don't feel the pain. They have responses similar to that.
Whoa, this is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
This is mind-blowing, because when I think of Krisnan, yes, I respect what you're doing here, but you always go back to when I first met you as a cricketer. Somebody that I thought I'd be watching on my TV. No.
Yes, unfortunately.
No, there's something I want to know. I have to ask this question as a PE teacher, sportsman. Have any sports people reached out to you? Because I'll tell you why I asked that question. When I was coaching at Combermere in the 90s, when we were winning a lot of titles, a lot of people asked me what was the secret. I thought there was no secret. It was I had a group of young men who wanted to win, who believed in themselves. But I always felt if I took it a step further, where I attached a lot of emphasis to the mental side of the game. And when I first told fellow coaches about that, they scoffed at me, they laughed. Fortunately, Combermere was able to win some titles, and the Combermere players knew when they went to a final that I did everything to make sure they were mentally prepared for the final. So I am watching sports teams now, and I'm hearing coaches overseas, internationally, talk about the mental part of the game. Are we in Barbados ready to adapt or adopt that attitude about the mental side of the game? Has any sports club, any team, any organization reached out to Krisnan for your services?
Before I completed my master's in psychology, when I was a hypnotherapist, mental skills coach, I reached out to a number of cricket teams.
Well, and that's your background.
Yes, and I was able to work with three clubs. Three clubs allowed me to come in and work with them.
Okay, what was the response like?
One-off sessions. I invited them to send individual players. One club sent an individual player, and that individual player the next year had his best season. That was in 2018. He had his best season.
Okay.
I offered each club to send 2 players, and I offered clubs to do further work with them. None of them reached back out, and that one player he continued with me the next year. But then we were into 2019, and COVID and that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, I've only worked with about half a dozen athletes.
Okay.
Half a dozen athletes one-on-one. But unfortunately, we're not seeing the kind of interest and investment in sports, by sports people and athletes in this kind of thing. And it really causes me to question, how serious are we about sport?
I am here nodding my head in approval, because I must be honest with you, I do not think that we are serious about sports in Barbados. I've been saying this for 20 years ago. I was saying that we made sport as sports. I'm here now in 2023, and I still feel that we are making sport as sports. And at times I can go on my soapbox and talk about that, but I wouldn't do that here today. But I wonder if we recognize, all right, Barbados is predominantly an amateur sporting country. But there's nothing wrong with using a professional approach to our sports. But as I said, I don't want to go off on a tangent with that. That's a discussion for another time.
I guess the question we really should ask is, do we want to be as good as we can be?
Well,
and if we want to be as good as we can be individually and team-wise, but also within the wider vision of the particular sport, whether we want to do all that we can do with the resources that are available to develop our players, to get them to be as good as they can. And it's interesting that from a distance you hear people talking about how poorly mentally prepared athletes seem to be. Yet there is a reluctance to reach out and to invest in the mental aspect of the game. And so now that I do therapy and I've done my master's, still not getting the interest and the outreach in the area of sports. I've worked with a few entertainers.
okay.
One of my colleagues, one of my peers from school, Lord Zen, people know very well that he's worked with me. He's done a number of appearances with me.
Okay.
And he's testified to how fantastic it has been working with me and how he's benefited from the services. So we're getting that interest for persons in other areas of performance.
Well, probably then, you young people need to lead the charge, because I often say this is a young people's world. Let's face it, the technology, all of you are very tech savvy. You know to use the equipment, and the equipment around us is fantastic.
Right.
But I think that too much emphasis is spent on the negative side of, let's say, social media. Let's say we just had Grand Kadooment, and you might see on social media pictures of people dancing in a very I've got to be careful with my words here.
Suggestive manner?
A very suggestive manner. On Kadooment, I watch most of it on TV. I saw beautiful costumes. I saw people having a nice time, because I like crop over. And I see nothing wrong with people dancing. but there's a time and place for everything. And you young people, because you all are the people who are going to take Barbados forward in the next couple of years when people like myself and others have retired. And I want to be able to enjoy my retirement and not have to look over my shoulder and wonder if this or the next is going to happen. So where do you see, oh well, I guess you don't want to look too far down the road, but do you see a place where the things you all are looking at can be embraced by more people? The mental thing, the mental approach to sports, because I can't get away from it. Sports is my life. My life is sports. So I'm gonna always, at some stage, look at sports again, because I use sports as a teacher as a vehicle to empower young men. That's what I did, and that's what I will continue to do as long as I'm involved in sports. But as you said, this amateur approach, it's as though we just want to accept competing. No, I was never one for just competing. I went into every tournament expecting to win. Even if the team might not have appeared to be the best to other people, I believed in my team, and I will never enter competitions just to participate. So we need in Barbados to move past being content to participate, but we must recognize that we are better than we think we are. You mentioned it earlier, no? So that's where you're going to come in. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, that's why I'm doing these interviews and these videos, so that we don't want to wait for persons to come into our space. We have to go there and reach out to people.
Good, nice.
And so this type of content, these types of discussions are very, very important and strategic. Again, people to loosen up and realize that it is not what they think it is from the distance. But of course, we can use social media a lot more, whether it is photos, memes, or pictures, or videos, whether long form, like this video in its entirety, or shorter forms.
Okay.
But we also can use social media to present really creative content. Of course, those in entertainment, they do clips. The comedians, they do clips, and we can do clips as well in terms of mental focus and how to motivational content. Things like little snapshots and little tidbits and what they can do in particular scenarios. But there isn't, at this point, I don't think there's the level of investment into mental skills and mental development, and I think that's due to maybe people seeing the mental aspect as being weak.
Do they say as being weak, or is there a fear factor?
I think for the fear relates to people being associated with like being mad or being incapable.
Because as I told you, it was always something I looked at, and most people, fellow coaches, when they told them about it, they backed off. Nah, that can't work. They were very dismissive. Fortunately, the players were able to speak about it glowingly. So I've had coaches in recent times ask me a question or two. Yeah.
So there is a lot of people think that when you getting mental help, first of all, you are weak to need mental help, because we're very physical. It's a very physical culture.
Yes, it is.
And masculinity in our country is seen as something that, I don't reach out for help, I can do it myself and I'm strong enough. And once I'm strong enough, I'm strong enough and I practice my skills, I have all that I need.
But having said being strong enough, I know that there's this perception when somebody is strong, they can handle everything. Years ago, somebody wrote an article, who guards the guard? Who counsels the counselor? The strong person will show weakness at time. Who is going to be there for him? So sometimes strong people need somebody to just pat them on the shoulder and say, well, Richard, Michael, whatever, it's going to be okay. I think we have this perception, once people are strong, they can handle anything. But everybody has a moment of weakness.
I think we have failures, disappointments, there's injury, there's personal issues. Sometimes a guy or girl might get harmed. We also have grief and loss in families. and these things affect our performance.
Yes.
It could be over longer periods, or it could be in the short term. And the ability to cope with those different types of adversity, we may not have the strategies to deal with them on our own. In addition to that, talking about strategies, sometimes we've been using, in terms of mental strategies and even tactical strategies, we've been using old techniques and old strategies, not realizing that the world has gone on, the world has gone forward. So we need new strategies in terms of how do we cope with change, how do we adapt to a changing environment when the opposition does different things, when I'm being taunted, when the crowd is talking to me, how do I stay focused? How do I deal with performance anxiety? These are things that are part of within the realm of mental skills, and these are things that athletes don't always know how to deal with. So being physically strong is enough. We need to know how to cope mentally, how to be able to wrap our mind, develop a perspective to be able to wrap our mind with the situations that come up during a performance and even in preparation to performance.
Because I could tell international sports is a tough arena, and teams, let's look at the recently concluded Ashes cricket series. Both teams were going at each other. The Australians are famous for sledging.
Yes.
But this English team brought a different style where they were not intimidated by the Aussies. And they came from 2 down, leveled the series. People are saying if the rain hadn't fallen during, I think, the 3rd test, they would have won it, but that's conjecture. But what I am seeing in international sports, people are focused. They're ready for anything that comes their way. That is where we want to see Barbados sports going. No, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time, but I want to encourage people who can help in that area, yourself included. Let's keep pushing at that, because we have some very talented sports people in this country. But you know, as I said, my thing about youth too is not just sports. Obviously, as a teacher, PE teacher, coach, I would tend to veer off in there. But as I said, I love working with young people. Absolutely love working with young people. And funny enough, I went to credit union yesterday, and a guy stopped me in a car, Mr. Small, and he told me he probably don't remember me, and I didn't. So when he called the name, the light bulb went off. And the light bulb went off because he was a challenging student. I wouldn't say he was bad, but he was challenging. And he told me, "Thank you, sir. I understand now what you were doing." He said you were tough. He even said that I victimized him. I said, no. That's a very strong word to use. I didn't victimize you. I will admit I was a strict and I am a strict teacher, but I never victimized anybody. And you know, I find that I've had a lot of former students meet me years later and tell me stories about things that I did or said, and of course I can't remember them things, and sometimes I wonder if they're making up stories. But the bottom line is they remembered something that caused the light bulb to go off. And what I am seeing in Barbados, as I said earlier, I am seeing a lot of young people bringing some skills to the table that make me smile, right? And I follow your career, obviously, because from a student, and I'm really impressed with the direction in which you're going. So I'm hoping that you can galvanize some other people, other young people into action, so that, you know, we can have, I want to see more positive news about the youth of Barbados, because, look in the school setting, a school may have possibly 10 misunderstood students. Now, actually 10 of those students doesn't mean that the whole school is bad. So, for instance, you pick up the newspaper and you see something negative on the front, whereas a positive story now is hidden on the inside or the back page. And I want to see a change in that. I mean, I guess the newspapers have their strategies when it comes to making money and stuff like that. But I figure that our young people need more encouragement. I think a lot of them have talent that just needs to be nurtured. And I find when you let them know you believe in them, they respond positively.
Yes.
So, you know, I am thrilled to make any contribution I can in any way. And as I said, sooner or later, one of these days, I will not be doing anything because I hope to retire and sit back and watch what's going on. But I just want to keep encouraging you and the other young people. As I said, I don't want to call names because I don't want to there's not a free ad session. But I just want you to know that you are one of the young people I'm very, very proud of. I think you're doing an excellent job. And I want you to continue in that vein and don't let. I told a young man recently, your dreams are your dreams. Do not let anybody feel that they can take away your dreams. A dream is not like a phone that you can take it away. A dream is in your head. It's your dream. If you want to be the best doctor in Barbados, in the region, go for it. So, you know, as I said, I like to work with young people, and I would never back down from a challenge. When it comes to assisting young people, I would not back down. I love challenges. I love challenges. Love them.
If I probably do a review or repost the interview we did before a few years back, where I got to interview you and get some insight into why you took this approach, and I shared some of the ways that you benefited me. There's that story that I tell from time to time about when I was doing swimming, and you told me to imagine Segarfield Sobers. I was really, really intimidated by the water. I really didn't like the water, and you told me to imagine that Segarfield Sobers was watching me, and that really motivated me. That gave me some courage to push. So these are the little things that stay with the youth that you work with, that stay with the people you work with. You don't know, because you said you didn't know that it was, you know, so significant to me.
No, I can't even remember saying that, you know, but I am happy that you recalled it, because I do remember your fear of the water. That was evident, but I cannot remember telling you that. But it's interesting though, because you were one of the school's best cricketers at that stage. So I think you would have played on the 13 for Barbados.
Under 13, yes.
And on the 15?
Yes.
Right. So there's only obviously, as I would have used this Segarfield Sobers analogy, because you know, you guys, you were at the school when Mr. Espic
just
right. So you guys were seen as trailblazers. Trust me, because Combermere's cricket fortunes were not that good before Mr. Espic came there, and he was able to take a bunch of young guys and make them into winners. So to hear when you repeated that story, and then I watched, because somebody said, I saw a video of you and Krisnan and they had heard this Segarfield Sobers thing, and I smiled, because as I said, I cannot recall, but for it to still to this day resonate with you, well, it says a lot.
And whenever we see on social media, whenever you have an event, when you go to an event, or when it's your birthday or whatever, the alumni, the students are always, you know, posting, because you've made a significant impact.
Last year, Akil Eiffel, there I go. Anyway, yes, Akil Eiffel from the Eiffel School, he honored me. And that was an evening, anyone know me, know I like to talk. When I went to the stage to receive the award, after I watched the video tributes, because three former students did video in tributes. Krisnan, for about 10 to 20 seconds, I could not speak. And anyone knows me know that is not Michael Small. So it was touching to get your flowers while you're alive. Akil is a guy that he's very passionate about education. He's extremely passionate about education. And he had mentioned to me, sir, I want to honor you. So I said, okay. So I forgot about it. So he sent the invitation via social media. I said, wow, okay. So I looked at it, and I saw the dress code at the bottom, formal attire. When I reached there, Akil had my name on the back of a chair. Now, anyone know me know that I do not like the limelight. When it comes to things like that, I prefer to sit down in the back. But it was touching and humbling. It was very humbling. And when former students come and tell me, thank you, it's mind blowing. So, I try to keep in contact with my students, especially the ones I'm close to. I follow their careers like you, and I will always, as long as I have the mental faculties are still great, I will always, as the young people say, big them up. Because I think that everybody needs to be appreciated or to feel appreciated and to be encouraged. So that is me in a nutshell.
Yes. Well, it really is good to have been able to keep in contact with you. And as I said, I see when you post different pictures from events and celebrations. So is it always, you don't always get the opportunity to, as you say, give flowers to someone while they're alive, but also be able to share in a teacher or in a mentor's successes beyond school. Sometimes you disconnect, sometimes you go away, sometimes unfortunately they might pass on. So to be able to grow up with your teacher, or to see them see you progress beyond school is always a nice thing. And it also allows the individual, the student, to track their progress, because I can see where I was back then and the progress I've made through the years, as we would have passed on, shared information on social media and WhatsApp and what's not. So you have not only made contributions while I was a student, but you've sent encouragement and regards for the different achievements I've had over time.
Well, this is, when I wake up in the morning, I have two choices. To be miserable and grumpy, or to be positive. I do not encourage negative energy around me.
Okay.
When people bring negative energy, because there will be some person that will try to do it, but when people bring negative energy around me, I push it away.
Right.
And it's not to say that I don't have bad days like anybody else. I'm human, but I prefer to accentuate the positive. So sometimes I might wake up, exercise in the morning, start most mornings with exercise. That's a staple. After the exercise, visit social media. I might see something that a former student did that gives me a little lift up, right? So I as I said, it's just a matter of accentuating the positive, recognizing that there will be days or moments when you feel vulnerable, when you feel weak, because everybody feels, as I told you, that when you're strong, you don't need another shoulder to lean on. That is not true. But as I said, for me it's about focusing on the positive. So when I see somebody do something good, or I might see a former student graduating, first class honors, second class honors. He might be a teacher, he probably attended Earlston and did a course and graduated top of the class. I think that those are things that need to be celebrated. So once the person is a person I get along well with and they do something well, I will always salute them.
Nice. Well, this has been a good time here. I like to wrap up with share something interesting. Share some inspiration for the people then watching.
Whoa. All I will say, I repeat what I said just now. When you wake up in the morning, you have two choices. You can either embrace negativity and be churlish and bitter and angry, or you can embrace positivity and smile. And I think one thing is we need to recognize it doesn't take anything off of anybody to be kind. It doesn't cost anything to be kind. I think we need to be a lot more kinder to each other than we actually are. So that is what I will leave as my little nugget for today.
All right. So thanks for speaking with me.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Very good. Mine too.
Yes, I would do it anytime.
Wonderful. All right. See you guys another time. And thanks again, Michael.
You are most welcome.
Cheers.
It's been an absolute pleasure.